Well, San Fran, I normally don't give you advice, but I will in this case. Let's rock. All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Antonio, and welcome back to the All Round Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Antonio. Today, we are going over the 49ers, and I'm going over my top five things that the 49ers need to do to win a Super Bowl this year. I'm going to give them a few pointers. You can take them or leave them. And because a few episodes ago, I went over the top 10 head coaches with the that were on the hot seat. Kyle Shanahan was one of them. And let's just say I had some choice words for him. When are you gonna do something for crying out loud, huh? When are you gonna do something? I mean, for one, you had the most talented roster in the NFL in recent memory. If you are what you really declare you are, which is a Super Bowl contender, you don't choke a 10-point lead three times in a row. And if Kyle Shanahan loses one more Super Bowl, he's going to join the name with three of the worst NFL coaches in the NFL. Anyways, I just did that flashback. I'm trying this out to see if it actually works. So hopefully it did. So, anyways, I went over Kyle Shanahan on this specific case, but I'm gonna be going over the five things that they need to do to win a Super Bowl in 2024. So before we get started, I am trying to aim for the goal of 375 375 subscribers before the beginning of the next NFL season when the Ravens meet up with the Chiefs week 1 of September 5th. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, please make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And for now, let's get this video started. So at number 5, they did this last year, but I think they need to do it again. Secure the number 1 seed. Now, as we all know, home field advantage is the most important thing to have. And the 49ers, they have one of the best home crowds in the NFL in Levi Stadium. It is an environment you do not want to play in, including my team, which I'm wearing on my hat, the Seahawks.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
But anyways, not only is it loud during the regular season, but as we saw last year when they played the Packers and the Lions in their stadium, they were loud. They were loyal. The Niner fans are always loyal. They are trying their best to get their team back into it. And it worked when they went against the Lions, which I had the Lions picked at that time. But the Niners need to secure the number 1 seed if they have a shot at winning the Super Bowl. So that's number 5. Number 4. This I believe is the most important thing. Have the number 1 defense, my bad. Because when you're playing teams in your conference and also from teams in the AFC, from what I've seen from the schedule of the 49ers, you got to play the Dolphins, you got to play the Chiefs, you got to play the Bills, you got to play the Lions, you got to play the Packers. You got to play a load of teams with high-powered offenses. You need to have the number 1 defense in the NFL because it certainly had that potential last year. I don't know what happened with Chase Young and all that. But you need to have the number 1 offense because when you're going against Mahomes, if you do go against him in the Super Bowl again, you need to have the number 1 defense, which is pretty obvious. So, which is why I have it at number 4. At number 3, this is probably one of the most important pieces. Stay healthy. We all know when Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, along with Trent Williams, got hurt in the game against the Cleveland Browns last year. That ultimately led to their 3-game losing streak that they had at that time, and then absolutely got demolished on Christmas Day by the Baltimore Ravens, even with the stacked roster that they had. But you need to keep this roster healthy because we all know if one player slips, The entire team slips.
No, 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 no. Wait. Wait.
Primarily, the most notable is Trenton Williams. Trent Williams has to stay healthy. He is your best O lineman in the front. You need to keep him healthy. And if he's not healthy, it impacts the Niners dramatically. And they have a losing time, as we saw in their 3-game losing streak last season. Then you also have to keep your defensive guys healthy, like Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. You need to keep your guys healthy, including that safety, number 29. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to even try. But, anyways, you need to stay healthy, and that's why I have it at number 3. At number 2 is one of the most obvious ones: beat Kansas City. As we all know, the Kansas City Chiefs have been your kryptonite for the last few years because when Mahomes came in, you have not even recorded a win against him in that time. And they're probably, the 49ers and your fans are probably even scared to face this Kansas City Chief team. But anyways, speaking of which, the Niners host the Kansas City Chiefs, which should be good home field advantage. That is, if it's not a split arena, which it probably will be. He need to beat the Chiefs because if you cannot beat the Chiefs, you are not going to win a Super Bowl. That is a fact. The Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl 4 times in the last 5 years. 3 of those times they have come back with a Super Bowl. In Super Bowl 54, where they beat you, Super Bowl 57, where they beat the Eagles, and then most recently this year in Super Bowl 58. You have to beat the Chiefs. Period. If you do not beat the Chiefs, you have no shot at winning the Super Bowl because if you can't beat the Chiefs, you can't beat anyone from the AFC. So that's why I have that at number 2. At number 1, this is probably the most notable of all of the ones I have stated: Kyle Shanahan getting his act together. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. As we all know, he has made 3 Super Bowl appearances. As we all know, each of those 3, he has had 10 or more point leads and has given them up all 3 times. You need to get your act together, Kyle Shanahan. You need to get that act together because we all know that he's the number 1 offensive coach in the NFL. We all know that the Niners are stout. But when you have a coach that is by the name of Kyle Shanahan and he has not even won a Super Bowl, you need to show up. And if you lose another Super Bowl, if you're Kyle Shanahan, if you lose another Super Bowl, he will join the name of 3 of the worst coaches in NFL history. Now, I already stated these names on that episode, but I'm going to state them again. If he loses, he'll join Dan Reeves, Marv Levy, and Bud Grant. And that is not a list you want to join. And the fact is that the Niners have been in contention for the last 5 years. We all know that Kyle Shanahan is good in the regular season. We all know that he can do some good things in the postseason. But you have to show up. Period. You need to show up. And the fact is, Kyle Shanahan has not been the guy in the Super Bowl when he's been there. If we look back at the losses he had, you had the loss to the New England Patriots when you had the 28-3 lead when you were with the Atlanta Falcons. You had a 10-point lead with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, which you should have won that one, by the way. I even think they should have won that game. And then you also have this past year where they had a 10-point lead to start the half, which I predicted that they would, but I went with Kansas City because I know what Kyle Shanahan does. he gives up the 10-point leads. Now, if you want to do well in the playoffs, if you want to do well in the regular season and at least make the playoffs, then keep Kyle Shanahan. But if you can't, I mean, I don't think any NFL team wants that to happen. I don't think that's any NFL team's end game. The thing is, and I've stated this a variety of times, Kyle Shanahan has to finish the job. He has to finish it. That is a simple fact. We look at him as one of the great head coaches in the NFL, with right there with Andy Reid, even though doesn't have a Super Bowl yet. The only thing that keeps him out of that discussion is a Super Bowl ring. You need to win a Super Bowl in order to get in that discussion. Now, as we all know, the Niners have not won a Super Bowl in 30 years. We all know that it has not happened in 30 years. But when you had the most talented roster to work with, which was Chase Young, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Jeremy Ward, and Eric Armstead on defense, and then George Kittle, CMC, Debo, Ayuk, and Purdy on offense, you should have at least won the Super Bowl. You should have at least won it. And you were the declared team of destiny, by the way. You were the declared team of destiny. And I was even pulling for the 49ers, if I'm being honest. And I'm a Seahawks fan. Because even though I despise the 49ers, even though I despise them, I do eventually want them to win a Super Bowl in the future because my grandma is a 49ers fan. And she told me, in her words, that Kyle Shanahan has to get his act together. That's her words, not mine. And then also another Niners fan that I have spoken to when before I made the move up here. I used to work up at a cashier job back up where I used to live. And this guy I was constantly talking to was a 49ers fan, a diehard, by the way. I believe, if I remember correctly, he was like 45, 50, something like that, like somewhere around that age. But, anyways, he told me in his words alone, that he thinks that the Niners franchise is straight up cursed. And I'm starting to believe him because you do not have the most talented roster in the NFL to go on to eventually lose. Brock Purdy had two guys wide open on third down. You had two guys wide open, and you couldn't even get to them. Most notably on the third down drive in overtime, you had a chance to get a first down. You threw it, and it was incomplete to, I believe the receiver was Gerard Jennings. But the fact is, Kyle Shanahan has to get his act together. He needs to break out of this cycle of losing 10-point leads. He needs to get out of that cycle and has to step up when it matters most. It is about moments. It is all about moments. And the fact is, when Purdy and the Niners had the moment to score the touchdown, remember the only reason that the new overtime rules were made was because of the divisional round about 2 years ago between the Bills and the Chiefs. That's the whole reason that the new overtime rules were even set up in the first place. And then you don't even score a touchdown? I mean, you not only make yourselves look bad, but you make the Bills and the entire NFL look bad also. That is a simple fact. I am stating the facts. And the fact is, the Niners need to show up when the moments are the brightest. They have to show up. They have the most talented roster in the NFL. You had one of the most talented rosters in NFL history, and you couldn't even get the job done. So that is why I have this at number one. But to recap the list, I wanted to recap this list here really quick. So at number one, I had Kyle Shanahan getting his act together. Number two, beat Kansas City. Number three, stay healthy. Number four, have the number one defense. And number five, win the number one seed of the NFC. But let me know in the comments what you guys think down in the comment section below. What do you guys think that the Niners need to do to win a Super Bowl? Is it Kyle? Is it any of the ones I had stated in my top 5? And if anyone forgot, I'm gonna put it back up here on the screen really quick. If it's any of those, let me know which number it was, and also if it's not one on this list, let me know which one and why. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now.